All right, everybody, here we are. We have reached the apex, the peak of the peak after weeks of hard labor, testing out the build, different combinations of glyphs, etc. A lot of testing. We have finally made it to the peak. The build is on its final form, and with it reaching its final form, I just want to dub it with a new name. I don't want to call it the Vox Andariel Chain Lightning 200% maximum attack speed build for Sorcerer anymore. I just want to call it the NMK Vox Andy Sorcerer, or NMK Vox Andy Sorc. Right? If you guys can refer to it that way, to comments elsewhere or telling your friends about it, please just use the NMK Andy Sorc. That's really cool. All right. Anyway, here we go. We've made it, and I'm about to share to you its final build planner. Speaking of build planners, the old build planner, you can keep that. You can still use that. That can be your foundation for the build. Um, Except you want to change around a little bit with the enchantments, right? But you can use that as a base foundation, build around that to reach this one. So I'll be sharing two build planner links, the final form and the starter form. Okay. So if you want to see that, go to the description below. Do me a favor, hit that like button so a lot more people see this video. Really helps me out, makes me want to make more D4 content when I am growing. And yes, guys, I have been growing. The past week has been pretty nice to see. I've tripled my sub count, which was a small sub count, and it still is. It's all right, man. It's fun making these vids, but it really drives me to make more vids. So thank you all to those that support, comment, and yeah, whatever. All right, here we go, guys. Enough of that intro and that stuff. Let's go. We will start off with the equipment, and we're gonna treat this like it's a scratch video, right? Like I'm teaching this build one last time, and here we go. For the build to work, you need Andariel's Visage. It's the key item to the build. Without this, it's not gonna work. For the stats, you want triple crit on your attack speed. Must have. Alright? Now, if you get lucky and get a GA, you just need to crit it once and then put 2 crits onto all stat. If you don't have any GAs, then it's also fine. Just put triple crit on attack speed. Or depending if you have attack speed on your Fist of Fate, then you can just double crit attack speed and then put all stat. Because your damage scales from your int, non-physical damage, and vulnerable damage. This is not a crit build, so crit damage is absolutely not super useless, but you're not doing yourselves any favor by having any crit stats, alright? So, Andariel's Visage is a must-have. It is the core item, one of the core items to this build. Next thing, Raiment of the Infinite. Now, Raiment of the Infinite is a game changer item as well, and it is also pretty easy to get because the original build you needed Tyrael's Might, right? But Raiment of the Infinite will increase your damage exponentially, as in you'll be dealing double the damage output if you were to use Tyrael's Might. Tyrael's Might is still good, but if you're doing pit pushes, it's not gonna work on that. All right, it will work on T8s. However, you can still farm T8s fairly easily with Tyrael's Might. You'll die, but not too often anymore, especially with the new build planner that I made. You can swap between these two depending on what activity you're doing. Yeah, Tyrael's Might, you'll still be able to farm 1k Aether up on T8, and on T7, you don't even need to use this, just use this on T7, and you'll be just blasting everything, and everything is just gonna evaporate, dissipate, disappear. Basically, it's an eraser build, and the mass, the mass thing on Infernal Hordes, yeah, that thing is gonna be gone in like 1 second. This build is strong. There's no way to put it. It's a strong build. The aspect of Raiment of the Infinite synergizes super well with our electric hula hoop which is also going to increase our damage output because you have more radial suck. Radial suck. Yeah, so every time you cast teleport, it pulls in enemies, right? And there is a trick to doing the teleport pull. You don't need to like teleport far away to pull everything. If you're standing still while spamming your chain lightning, do not touch your left stick. If you're on controller, don't touch the left stick and then just activate your teleport, and you'll teleport on spot, pulling everything towards you. If you are on mouse and keyboard, however, then yeah, hover your mouse over your character and then just press teleport, and you won't move, and you'll just pull everything towards you. Now it also works a bit better. You could do like that's not always the case that you need to pull them towards you. Sometimes you have to like step away from stuff and then teleport into it. And NMK or MNK has a better chance of having more accurate teleports. But yeah, controllers, just do the tech that I told you. Don't move your left stick and then teleport. There you go. And your electric hula hoop, this skill right here, see that electric hula hoop, is gonna do insane damage, and you'll just see billions of damage, and you won't see the screen anymore. There's just gonna be a screen of numbers, so many numbers. I love seeing numbers. Yeah, it's super fun, guys. Try it. All right, so raiment is your second go-to item. It's really easy to get. The two GAs, the GA to glass cannon is a must-have if you really want to stretch the boundaries. And 2 GA, 1 on intelligence, also just makes the build even stronger. So you kind of want to get 2 GAs on this one, but you don't need to. All right, now the next item, which is the biggest barrier to entry for the late game, to reach its final form, you got to put down massive amounts of luck. Thank God for the Goblin event. It's dropping a lot of Distilled Fear, and you can just farm Beast and Ice as much as possible to get a God tier Fist of Fate. Alright, Fist of Fate is insanely strong. It is Season 5's God tier item. It is the season of the Fist of Fate. Everybody's fisting and fisting and fisting non-stop. Alright. Anyway, yeah, you want to get GAs on your lucky hit chance and on your chance to apply a random crowd control, and try to get a high aspect damage on the bottom aspect, right? The 300%. Now this glove right here is really hard to get because the odds of having a really good one and a really bad one is incredibly high if there's no GA. I have had 3 versions of Fist of Fate. One without the GA lucky hit chance, which I double critted or triple critted, and it did only, I think, about 112% lucky hit chance. And one that had a GA on lucky hit chance, but had a terrible chance to apply random crowd control, and it had only 260 below. This glove the former glove was holding me back from reaching the maximum potential of the build. So this item right here is that big barrier to entry to super late Giga Chad endgame NMK Sorc, right? So try to get your hands on this, get a decent aspect below. Not too important, maybe about 270 would be fine. If you get 300, all the more better. Yeah, this is amazing. This build is a lucky hit build. It has good synergy with Andariel's with all the lucky hits, and the random crowd control effect just makes it so much stronger. You might not even need Starless Sky anymore. You might want to go with Creeping Death, because Creeping Death, you gain way more damage multipliers with different kinds of crowd controls, and it will affect your Andariel's damage exponentially. I have not tried swapping this out yet with these new gloves, but I think that could be a pretty good change too, and it is also a cheaper alternative to Starless Skies because this is a mythic item. It's harder to drop. First thing you want to craft when you're able to get your sorcerer up to speed and you want to use this build is the Andariel's Visage. Then you won't have any sparks, right? So you'll be on a difficult spot. So if you get Raiment, that's easy to get. You're good to go with that. You can swap this out with Creeping Death, and yeah, for the stats on Creeping Death, you want to get Int, vulnerable damage, and damage over time. Temper, vulnerable damage again, and then for the fifth one, you can do whatever you want. All right, experiment with the fifth, but those are the four things that are really important. Anyway, we swapped all over here, we're still over here. This one is a massive game changer, and it also opens up the doors to a very important glyph change. And I think you already know where we're going with that, but we'll get to that later. Next thing, you want Axial Conduit. You want to get GAs on the resource generation. That is the most important GA. If you want to get a 2 GA, then try to get damage reduction as well, or chance to cast Chain Lightning twice. That would actually be better if you want more DPS output. Yeah, but resource generation is the most important stat because, well, that's how you get infinite mana with the build. This 79.6% multiplies your mana regeneration. So this is a multiplier stat outside of your mana regen, which you will be stacking crazy amounts of, as I explain the Paragon Board and our amulet in just a little bit. All right, just be a little bit more patient. All right, you want a really high aspect on the bottom because this is your secondary damage dealer, source of damage, which is your normal attacks. Those things compound, guys. It is almost equal to this, like a hybrid build almost. It's almost equal to the damage you make with Andariels. If you combine the two, then you're doing billions of damage, right? The electric hula hoop effect is what you need from this build. Again, this is the electric hula hoop. That will make your build synergize so much better, and you'll have way more Andariel procs because that electric hula hoop, for some reason, the attack speed on that thing is pretty damn fast, and the proc rate is much higher than a base cast of Chain Lightning for some reason. Plus, it is a bug effect on Umbacrux, the Shadow Totem. You'll be doing some buggy damage that just one-shots what do you call it, tormented bosses. And when you're doing the council with a Shadow Totem, yeah, you're gonna erase those bosses in 20 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, really fast. As well as if your rogue friend is dealing damage as well, then yeah, it's gonna be really fast. All right, so yeah, Axial Conduit, also another must-have. Fixes your resource problem, increases your damage output, more procs, more hybrid damage, right? Really important. Next up, these boots are the things that I have to change on my build. However, you need maximum armor and maximum life. All right, GA on the armor is ideal so that you don't have to run too many things, but you don't really need the GA. Ideally, you want max life and int. The reason why I triple crit the max life on this build is because, or double crit it, is because I felt like the build is lacking max life. See, it's only 18.5. It could be better, but yeah, this is a glass cannon build anyway, so high risk, high reward gameplay. Other people, if they want even more damage, they get a GA int and then triple crit your int, and you will have a lot more damage. So these boots have to be changed with a int armor GA. And yeah, you want crowd control duration because you're gonna be making everything crowd control non-stop. You'll be staggering a lot, and yeah, you want longer staggers on the bosses, so crowd control duration is another must-have. For the fifth stat, you want movement speed because you don't really need to be evading too much, which makes my boot aspect, or the thing on top, attacks reduce evades on cooldown, makes it a little bit unoptimal. You kind of want the ones when you dodge, you gain unhindered, or when you dodge, you gain movement speed, because this is a pretty slow build movement wise if you don't have any conjurations. Alright, next thing, we're gonna skip the weapon, which is our final core weapon, core item. We're gonna go to the amulet. The amulet is your biggest form of damage multiplier. Without a doubt, this is the best one that you can put. Oh, sorry, I forgot about aspects. Yeah. For the boots, you want Orange Herald. This will give you non-stop cooldowns on your ultimate skill, which you'll be able to spam. You'll basically be on god form the whole pit fight, boss fight, any content you do, you'll be on god form. Just pop that ult and you'll always be in ult form. It's amazing. The synergy of this build is just unparalleled. Alright, back to the amulet. Amulet, let's get the aspect out of the way because I'll forget about it. Put Storm Swell, because 45% is flat. You'll always have barrier with this build, and it's really strong. This is actually a bricked amulet because you do not need that 5% chance to restore primary resource. I'm a huge hater of that because 5% chance is ridiculously low. You would want to put there, honestly guys, I was thinking resource gen in the past, but you don't need that anymore. Just put crowd control duration and you will just stagger the boss so much longer and you'll be dealing more DPS. Put crowd control duration on that. Put vulnerable damage as your temper. Try to get glass cannon as your secondary. And then for your other secondary, you will need to put, depending on the best option for DPS would be percent int. That would make the build really stronger. That is the next thing. I have to upgrade this basically. And yeah, that would bring this to new heights, is int percentage multiplier. The reason why is if it's a GA, I think it will increase my int by at least another 120, 1,200 or something, and that's pretty big. That's a lot of int. Sorry, not 1,200. Way more, maybe I'm not sure, 250 plus or 300 plus to this one. That's pretty crazy. All right, anyway, your main source of damage would be Conjuration Mastery. You want to triple crit that and put a GA on it. The reason why is this build relies on conjurations for its mana regen for one thing, and for damage. You're able to make on average about 15 conjurations to come out, and that is a lot of damage for this build. I think that's 150% increase in damage, 300% mana regen, and then you gain 150% movement speed. That's where you're going to be getting your movement speed, guys. So this build kind of ramps up. You start off really moving slow, but then as you go into god form, spam your ice blades and the wormy dudes come out, snake dudes. You're going to be getting all those stats, and you'll be able to move from group to group more easily. So yeah, Conjuration Mastery is the key passive, not a key passive, a key passive skill, not key passive, just a passive skill for the build to function really well. A lot of people are wondering how I'm getting infinite mana. Well, this is the source of that infinite mana. Conjuration Mastery, as well as a few Paragon points, glyphs, and Facial Conduit's resource generation. Because again, when you have 300% mana regen, it multiplies with 79.6%, and that's gonna reach like 500. I don't know, do the math, but it's gonna reach a lot of mana regen, right? So yeah, that's how you do it, guys. That's how you do it, this with that. Okay, Next thing, you want Tal Rashas. Now, Tal Rashas is you gotta have this. This is your sorcerer item. This is what makes you powerful. And after further testing, I found that the best stat to triple crit here would be, honestly, lucky hit chance. If you have a GA on it, that's the one you want to triple crit. But if you don't have a GA lucky hit chance, you go with non-physical damage to just increase your poison damage, because non-physical damage, vulnerable damage, damage percentage, and int is the way you scale your damage over time. Crit damage does nothing, right? Also, with Talrashas and Andariels, you're able to proc all 4 elements, because you need 4 elements to reach the maximum potential of Talrasha. So you'll be doing fire damage with your burn damage from your enchantment, you'll be doing ice damage with your ice blades, and then you'll be doing lightning damage with chain lightning, and you'll be doing poison damage with Andariels. So that's 4. You'll always have 76% in my case. I could make it stronger and find an 80, but Talrashas is the second most expensive item on this build, I think. Yeah, it is. This is the most expensive, then this one, and then this one. Yeah, so Talrashas, must have. You want to slot in, by the way, 2 skulls and 1 diamond for your jewelry if you're running raiment. But if you're running Tyrials, then just put Tyrials and you'll be fine. You don't even need to swap this out because you'll be an armor cap anyway. So, our last thing, which we talked about earlier, was Starless Skies. This is, however, I think you can swap this out. Honestly, I haven't tested it recently, but you could swap this out if you have your God tier Fist of Fate with the double lucky hit GAs. Because Creeping Death could actually potentially lead to higher DPS than Starless Skies. Especially since you're going to be staggering the boss more often now. The constant 50% increase of damage that this provides might outweigh the 40%, or because it's going to be 40% on bosses, right, when it's staggered. But for mobbing, you'll be clearing mobs so fast. So I guess for Infernal Hordes, you want to run Creeping Death, and then for the boss fight, you swap into Starless, right? That would be optimum. Anyway, you go Creeping Death. But for in general, just stay Starless Skies. And you want to triple crit your lucky hit chance. Yes, lucky hit chance is very important to the build. And if I triple crit or find a GA lucky hit chance, Starless Skies, boy, this build is gonna be God tier. And it will reach way, way, way new heights because your chain lightning will reach 100% lucky hit rate. If you do that, if you work on your lucky hit on this, lucky hit on this, lucky hit on this, and then on your skill tree. Whew, finally, the last equipment upgrade, or our creme de la creme item. What makes us a different build from all the other Andy Sorcs out there is Vox Omnium. And guys, I don't know, I'm not claiming that it's because of me that Vox Omnium has gained its speed on things. Like, more people are using Vox Omnium. It might be very narcissistic of me, but I kind of want to believe it. But yeah, because my video has been one of the first to make, or if not the first to make, notice to Vox Omnium. And this item was so cheap on the marketplace that I could buy a 4GA high aspect Vox Omnium for under 1B. So this was less than 1B. I don't know how much it costs now, but 4GA on this item is pretty crazy. People say the +9 to basic skills is a waste. Yeah, I agree. It kind of is. And the aspect is a waste. Not really, guys. It is not a waste of aspect. And I will be explaining that again. If you've seen my videos, you know why. Anyway, you want to triple crit your core attack speed. And this is the thing that's going to make you an attack speed demon, by the way. 94.5% attack speed is nuts. I already showed the demo that it is super. If you put a different staff on this with attack speed or whatever, it does not compare. This is the optimum attack speed item. 527 intelligence is a lot, and 292.5 non-physical damage is a lot, guys. That's not something to like sleep on here. That is a lot of damage right there. Now, the reason why the aspect is not a waste is because whenever you use a core skill, and you'll be using core skills non-stop, and it's going to be firing a lot of core skills, probably 4 to 5 chain lightning bolts per second. You'll be firing 2 projectiles alongside with your chain lightning, and depending on the core skill you use, the skill speed or the movement of the I'll just call it skill speed, right? The projectile speed matters. Chain lightning's projectile speed is insane. So you'll be firing how many projectiles? 2 additional plus your chain lightning, 3 times 4 to 5. That's 12 to 15 projectiles per second. That is insane. And that's how you deal and proc your Andes. Your basic skills have such high lucky hit chance that those things will always lucky hit, applying 100% crowd control. All right, that's how you're staggering so much, because your frost bolts and fire bolts, or even your sparks, are dealing so much damage. I mean, so much stacks of crowd control and procs of Andariels that this build just reaches. It's just good. And guys, core attack speed. If you think about it, in the past we used to use accelerating aspect. This is basically accelerating aspect on steroids. It is like 3 accelerating aspects, even more than 3, because it's 3 is 90%. There's an extra 4.5%. This is a demon of an item, and if you're sleeping on this, you're doing it wrong, guys. A lot of people have caught on. I mean, a more famous sorcerer build maker, I'll just name them, Roxy, has recently started using Vox Omnium and reached pit 150 on their build. That is nuts. I'm not a masochist to run the pits all day, but I feel like if I do, I'll be able to hit 140, 140 up, right, with my Andariel's build. I'm not sure what build she runs, but I don't know if it's. I'm not sure if it's Andariel's. Maybe it's a crit-based form of the build, which is still nutty. Even if you lose crit stats on this item, you're just gaining so much more attack speed that it offsets the damage decrease that you make, right, from the stats. More hits, more damage. This is, by the way, a maximum attack speed build. He hit all the breakthroughs. This is the fastest you can go, and this is what makes the build really special to me. I love this item. I love this item, and I love this item. These 3, this one as well, and this one, it just centered. Everything just works so well together that I'm proud of making this build. It's awesome. All right, that's it for the equipment, guys. Yeah, the +9 basic skills is quite useless, but you know, what can you do? You can't have everything, right? And honestly, I might not be even using this item for its main purpose. I'm using it on Andariels, which kind of works, but it might have a secret build to do with Moonrise and Pain Gorgers that one of my viewers has been asking me to make. I'm sorry, dude, I can't. I have to focus on this one first, and yeah, but I'm done with this one, and I kind of have another build that I'm secretly making in the background. I already prepped all the gear. It's Giga Chad gear as well, and it's ready to roll soon. All right, we'll go to the skill tree. Sorry it's been long, but we gotta do it. This is the only way to do it, guys. Skill tree. All right, you want to get Frostbolt. Get this one. Enhanced Frostbolt makes things more frozen. There's a huge chance, by the way, because you'll be freezing and you'll be dealing increased damage to them. also helps out. It stacks, damage stacks. You'll be gaining mana from frozen enemies. They'll all be frozen. You always have mana from this. This is another source of your mana regen, by the way, and it also gets multiplicated by your resource generation from Axial Conduit. All right, next, you want a path here. You want to get 1 point into Chain Lightning, get Enhanced Chain Lightning, and Greater Chain Lightning. This is your main source of Andariel sticks, and this is the skill that you'll be spamming the most, right? I think you only need to put 1 point here, if I'm not mistaken. So just put 1 point into Potent Warding. You need that 1 point, or at least 12 maximum resistance, because you will not be running Andariels with the build, right? When you do have Andariels, it will be maxed out, and you don't really need to change this anymore because, yeah, it's a hassle to like swap stuff out. Again, you use Tyraels for solo hordes if you want to. T8s, it's a little bit easier to survive. But yeah, you need this for to compensate for the loss of Tyraels. It still works, except you have no source of shadow damage, so just be careful on shadow damage mobs. Alright, next up, you want to put 1 point into Flame Shield, because this is your god tier I will escape damage skill from the boss mechanics in the pit. 1 rank to teleport, then upgrade to enhanced teleport and into shimmering teleport. This is also a very tanky skill. You self-cast teleport for pulling mobs. For boss fights, you kind of want to use teleport to mitigate damage that you receive from their spamming skills. I demo it in my 135 thing. I also spam teleport on myself without moving anywhere, just so that when the boss hits me with its fire breath thing or with its axe, whatever, it does less damage. You want to put 3 points into glass cannon. All the points that you can get, put it into glass cannon. I have 13 because I have stuff from my amulet, my chest piece, and then I put 3 points into this. This is 78% increase in damage. That is a lot. And 26% more damage taken. But the damage gained versus damage taken is such a big divide that you just gotta get as much of this as possible. Next up, this is your main survival skill, Ice Armor, as well as your main barrier skill, so that you're always gonna have that bonus Storm Swell damage. Yeah, Ice Armor, you gain mana regen as well. This also gets multiplied by Axial Conduit, so there's another 30% on top of the Conjuration Mastery one, so that you have like 330 right there. And then you reduce its cooldown by spending 50 mana, and because Chain Lightning and Axial Conduit is such a mana hungry build, that you'll be resetting Ice Armor within like 3 or 4 seconds. Yeah, pretty crazy how you'll be spamming this skill a lot, which makes your Frost Bolts come out more often, which is why we only upgrade Frost Bolts and not Firebolt, because Firebolt will rarely come out from Vox Omnium. Alright, next up, here is where the major changes happen on to reaching its final form. You want to get 1 point into Hydra, 1 point into Enhanced Hydra, and 1 point into Summoned Hydra. Now, the reason why is you're gonna make this your enchantment skill, and you need this to burn enemies because you won't be running Firebolt. And guys, you might be thinking, oh, but the Hydra Snake only does single target damage. It's true, but because you'll be spamming your Chain Lightning and consuming so much mana, your snakes are gonna be popping up all the time, but you'll always have 2 snakes ready. But they're gonna be popping up, changing targets almost every time. And during a boss fight, the snakes is another source of a potential lucky hit chance hit for staggering, as well as Andariel ticks. Although it might not hit often, but you do have 6 snake heads times 2, 12 chances per second to land a proc of Andariels and stagger. 8% times 12, you could just say each snakehead has 8% chance, right? And in 1 second, hopefully one of those 12 snakes will hit a proc. So that's like another proc per second. So synergizes really well, and you gain 2 additional conjurations for conjuration mastery. Really important there. That's the reason why you run Hydras. You gain a constant 20% damage increase and 40% mana regen and an extra 20% movement speed. That's a lot of stats, okay? So that's why you're running Hydra. You put 3 points into lucky hit chance because more lucky hits equals more fun. Then you put 1 point into Ice Blades, Enhanced Ice Blades, and Summoned Ice Blades. Some people like to run this one, but doesn't make sense. This is better, alright? The reason why is your Ice Blades will influence your ultimate skill cooldown, your Flame Shield cooldown, and your Teleport cooldown. And you'll be able to have 6 of these Ice Blades. It's capped at 6 all the time. You'll be spending so much mana that you can spam your Ice Shields, and this one will come back as fast. So you're mostly spamming Ice Blades and Ice Armor, as well as your Chain Lightning during your rotation, which will produce more Frost Bolts, which is why we only upgrade Frost Bolts in the beginning. Alright? Really, really synergized build. Awesome build. Now you also want to get 1 point into Lightning Spear and put another point into Enhanced Lightning Spear. You do not need this, although yeah, I mean it will increase your stagger bar, but I don't think you need it because you have a 100% lucky hit chance to stagger enemies. So we have enough stagger. You only want casting Lightning Spear spawns an additional Lightning Spear because when you're in God form, you have a chance to release or cast a random shock skill of a random core, conjuration, or mastery shock skill, right? So you have a chance of launching lightning spears, and they double every time you launch one because of this passive, right? So that's where the build synergizes again. Instead of just gaining 1 lightning spear, you gain 2, and you gain more damage because of conjuration mastery. The damage revolves around this passive right here, and glass cannon supplements this damage right here. Again, all of these conjurations equals more mana regen, and that's how you fix your mana issues. It also multiplies again with Axial Conduit. Alright, you put 3 points into Align the Elements, 3 points into Mana Shield. You'll always have, what do you call it, damage reduction because you're spending too much mana. Protection, because you just get barriers from your cooldowns. These barriers are actually clutch. Sometimes you don't have ice armor because the boss broke your ice armor too early before you could reset it. This will help you like get through that issue, right? All right, next up, you just want 1 point into static discharge because you need to make crackling energy to get 15% increased damage with our Paragon node or glyph. So just put 1 point. You might be wanting 12, but honestly, you'll be dealing so much projectiles in a second that it's just going to produce a lot of balls anyway, energies, crackling energies. And you get 2 shocking impact from your armor. This is supplementary damage, which is nice to have, but you don't really need this. And the reason why that's there is because of the armor. All right, here is another way to solve your mana issues, and this is actually really important because without this, you might not solve the mana issue. You want to get Permafrost just to be able to get 3 ranks of Frigid Breeze. Because this build is a lucky hit build and all the targets are vulnerable anyway, when you do Electric Hula Hoop, you're going to be pulling all the enemies towards you, and you're going to be activating your Frost Bolts all the time. They're going to be near you, and your Ice Blades, that you'll be gaining your mana generation. You get 15% mana back, basically, all the time. Because it's 20%, and 20% happens more often than the 5% from primary resource thing. So there you go. That's how you get non-stop mana. Keep saying ammo. All right, anyway, Unstable Currents is your God form build. You gain additional attack speed with this. And yeah, you'll be doubling your damage output whenever you have this. You want to get Unstable Currents, increase your attack speed by 25% while active. I think this goes over all the attack speed buffs. A lot of people say it's maximum 200. I still like to believe that this influences your attack speed even further. That's just me, my copium, I don't know, but yeah, that's just me being stubborn. I think it does, so I still think it's 220%. Anyway, Coursing Currents, just put 1 point because you'll be having so much shock skills, it will always reset your crit anyway. Electrocution, you need 3 points more damage mitigation. And you're going to be critting, even though you have low crit chance, you'll still crit because there's just so much going on. And then you want 1 point into Convulsion just to supplement the kind of random damage that you do. Makes it a little bit more constant towards stun, because you gain more damage to stun enemies on our Paragon board. Lastly, our key passive is Veer's Mastery. Okay, last thing is our Paragon board. Here is where things get a little bit more tricky and complicated, so pay close attention, alright? You want to path up here, get this, non-physical damage, scales your Andariel's damage, so you don't want to get this, you want this, right? And then you make your starter board like this. This is an int board, by the way, so you want to get, what do you call this thing? You want to put Elementalist, because it increases your non-physical damage from this node right here. And you'll be dealing constant 3 kinds of elemental damage, so this will always be 15%. Big damage glyph right there. You want to get these ones for more non-physical damage, and you want to get this one for more resistances, because without Tyrael's Might you can't get cap on resistance, so this helps supplement that whenever you're running Rainment. Now, this is the thing you could change if you want to whenever you swap to Tyrael's, but that's just a headache to do. You don't really need to. You could just... I got disconnected. What? Okay. Alright, we're just gonna reconnect, and yeah, we'll just reconnect and go through it again. I guess because I wasn't moving, right? Okay, so the Paragon board, just pay close attention because this is where things get a little bit tricky and complicated. But it's D4, so it's not that complicated. Alright, so you want to path up here, get Elementalist node for more non-physical damage. Then you get your glyph. This is an int board, by the way, so just copy my glyph settings right here. I mean my node settings. Then put Elementalist. This is a 15% increase of damage all the time. It's always going to be there. Then you go get these nodes because you want more physical damage. And you get this one because when you're running Rainment, you're going to not be able to cap your elemental resistance. And this helps do that. Actually, it caps it for you when you have this. This alone does so much for you. Okay? Now, you could change this whenever you use Tyrael's Might. But no, it's a hassle, so you don't really need to. It's a minimal thing you could do, and you're probably just gonna gain a little bit of damage, and it's not worth it. All right, you path up here onto our static surge board. Just copy the rotation, go up here, get this node, the legendary node. You can get these ones as well because it's damage to elites. That's what you're really after. And then the stun damage is helpful for clearing trash mobs on the pit. But yeah, this is a good damage modifier for bosses because bosses are considered elites. On our glyph, you want to put Control. Alright, this is the one that we changed. And this is only possible with our Fist of Fate gloves. Without the Fist of Fate gloves, with the double GA on lucky hits, and 100% chance to crowd control stuff. Control glyph is not as good to have all the time. You want to swap this out for something else. You could go with what do you call it, enchanter. Yeah, you could do this. You could also go with, well, yeah, that's it. Without the gloves, you go enchanter, which I mentioned in my last video. Enchanter is honestly strong too. If I had another Paragon glyph, I would put enchanter into the build, and yeah, you'd be more tanky and stuff. Anyway, you put control here. This will be super strong for bossing because you'll be staggering them more often. You gain 20% increased damage to boss stagger, as well as 20% to trash mobs that are stunned and frozen. And because we have frost bolts to deal freezing stuff, as well as shock skills to stun, perfect synergy. This is really strong glyph to have on this board. Next, you path here, get the mana stuff here. More mana, more power. You can do more electric hula hoops. Alright, then you path up here. Follow this path going here. You want to grab these nodes, more elite damage and non-physical as well. Really nice nodes to have there for damage. And on this board, it's a dex board, and this is where you're going to put your exploit glyph, because exploit doesn't really multiply anything. All you need are stat points, so it would be nice to put something here to multiply these, but honestly, I think this is okay already. Let me check. Maybe I could do something else here, but from what I know, that's the only node that you can put, because this is an int one, and I think unleashed might be a dex one. Where is it? This tactician. Yeah, the two nodes. Yeah, this one could go here, but the thing is, you want this here because you want that one. Or anyway, sorry, sidetrack. I thought of something, but no, this is it. This is the optimum. Exploit goes here, so just follow the nodes. Get these stuff. It's more damage. This is these are good damage nodes for you. Then you get dex up here, more vulnerable. Then you get these stuffs right here. Get that, and this. This will give you more mana, more life, as well as more non-physical damage. Really nice board, nodes to have for Andariels. Next, oh, by the way, this is the Enchant Master board. Okay. Next up, you go get the Burning Instinct board. This is your basically a glyph board, but you want to get Safeguard. You want to get this because it is a big damage reduction to bosses as well as elites that are really strong. Desecrator can still one-shot you with the fireball skill if you don't have your barrier, but when you have barrier, it doesn't do as much damage anymore, right? But yeah, this really helps with your survivability, so try to path and get this. And you go up here, get these ones, and you put Tactician on this board. The reason why you want Tactician here is not because you gain bonus. This is your extra damage thing, right? This is nice. It's okay. It's an extra, what, 25%? Is that right? Anyway, 22%. I don't know. I don't know how much extra damage you get. Yeah, 25% extra damage. But this is what you really want. Okay. You want that extra 12.5% damage reduction to compensate for the loss of Tyrael Smite. This will make you a little bit more tanky with Raiment. It helps you survive as long as the enemies are burning, then they won't kill you or damage you as much. Next thing, you move up to the Elemental Summoner board. You get these nodes right here for more mana and extra life a little bit, that 4%, that does help. But you want more, the mana stuff here, because you can have more electric hula hoops with the more mana you have. That's why other builds have more resource, maximum resource to get more hula hoops for their build, but not for this build. Anyway, on this, what do you call it, board, you want to put Crackling Energy, so charge glyph. So whenever you pick up three Crackling Energies, you gain 15% increased damage. So this is awesome, but I kind of wish that crackling energy, instead of you having to move and pick it up, you could just like, like suck in, or like gravity, the balls just go towards you. I don't want to say suck balls into you, but yeah, there you suck the balls into you, and that makes it better. But yeah, it's still 15%. So periodically, just move a little bit. Like if you're gonna dodge some bosses like AOE thing, yeah, just get the balls, and then you get 15% extra damage. Really good for the build. I honestly wanted to try a different glyph here because I tried to put what do you call it? This one, and the 15% just offsets the damage, and I think it's more damage than the additive physical damage. I could be wrong. I'll do more testing, but yeah, charged is the way to go for now. All right, destruction is the one that you put on searing heat board. Just follow the nodes. There you go. And yeah, you always do crit damage on, or critical strikes with this build, so you'll always have that 12%, and the 12% affects your poison damage from Andariel, so you gotta have this. All right. And lastly, our last board is Frigid Finesse, Frigid Fate, Frigid Finesse, Frigid Fate. You deal bonus vulnerable damage to vulnerable enemies equal to 20% of your total amount of bonus damage with cold. Because you have so much non-physical damage, this will cap, so you gain 60% X multiplier on vulnerable people. So everything is vulnerable. This is a really strong legendary node for our build, so always get this. And for our board, you want to put Unleash. Unleash is another source of damage multiplier, 8%. You'll always have this up. You gain 25% mana regen. That's an extra mana regen thing that multiplies with Aetial Conduit again. That's how you always have so much mana, and how I can always just stand still and burst the boss down. Yep, that's it, guys. You also gain vulnerable damage from these nodes. Extra 22.5%. It all counts. And yeah, guys, this is the optimum setting for the board. You can use this with Tyrael Smite as well. This is the best, all right? I've done everything to the build possible. I've mixed and matched glyphs. This is the best that I made. Hopefully you guys like this video. Please do. Liking it makes it available to more people, helps my channel grow. I've grown quite a bit. Honestly, I've been surprised. It's not like thousands of subs every day, but hey man, we reached triple digits in, I don't know, less than a week, and yeah, it feels really fun to do. It's exciting. Thank you guys for the support. I'm gonna keep making videos, not just build videos. You see in my opening videos, those are really fun to do as well. Ah man, yo, the dream's coming true slowly. Maybe with your help I can do it. Anyway guys, see you all on the next video and on the next build. Look out, I got something cooking. The chef is in the kitchen. We got something. All right, see you all next time. Peace.